Welcome to the Cleaning Lady recap. Tony is a smart-witted Cambodian doctor. She struggles to make ends meet as an undocumented worker after coming to the US. She works as a cleaning lady with her sister-in-law Fiona. Most cleaners employed in the company are undocumented. Fiona has 2 kids, Chris and Jazz. Only Chris is undocumented, but because her husband died whilst in the US, they could argue in court that Chris deserves a citizenship. She sells a bit of ecstasy on the side to get extra money for the lawyer. She came to the US from the Philippines in search of a cure for her son Luca's illness. One day when she is working a long graveyard shift, she witnesses a murder. She promises not to speak to anyone and even help them clean it up because she is in fact a cleaning lady. Armin, the ringleader, agrees to let her live, with his henchmen following her. She is tasked with cleaning up every spot they need, and they will pay her for it, or she will be murdered. She is forced to accept leading house parties, clubs, and all sorts. Armin's boss, Hayek, wants to kill her, fearing she could rat them out, but she divulges information on a man that stole a shipment of guns from them, and he accepts her loyalty. As time passes, Luca's health declines, and she is forced to use the income to pay for the medical care. The FBI make contact, more specifically, Agent Garrick. He wants her to be an informant, or her and all her friends will be deported. She drops a listening device under Cantleman Knight, who is trying to broker a deal on a hotel between Hayek. He is arrested for this, but trying to stay hidden, she helps Armin, sneaking into the hotel and stealing Knight's laptop that could embroil them in a crime. Hayek puts out a hit on Knight in prison, and he is killed. Meanwhile, they find a bone marrow doctor for Luca, who pulls out last minute. They steal the client information and confront Joe for brawl. He is annoyed and kicks them out. When Armin gets wind of this, he confronts him, and the dismissive guy he is steps on the wrong toes. They kidnap him and force him to give the bone marrow, but he doesn't budge, willing to die for it. Tony convinces them to let him leave, because they know where he lives, where he works, and his daughters too. Driving him back, their car breaks down. Whilst he is changing a tire, Tony sings Luca to sleep in Tagalog. Joe recognizes the song from when his mother sang it to him too. Joe recognizes the song from when his mother used to sing it to him when he was young, and he agrees to help donate the bone marrow to Luca. His health starts to get better. Now that Garrett's witness is dead, they arrest all the undocumented workers, including Tony, Fiona, and their friend Gabby. She is forced to wear a listening device to convict Armin, but at the last moment, she tells him the truth and is immediately kicked out. Armin and Hayek have had a falling out. He worked for him his entire life and wanted to become a partner in the hotel deal, but he chose his daughter Isabel, and she doesn't even know the life of crime they're in. In a fit of rage, he calls Tony and gives her the laptop, still with enough evidence to convict Hayek, but she only agrees to hand it over when Gabby and Fiona are released. Garrett stops the bus about to deport them, and they reunite with Fiona, finding out that Gabby already got deported. Luca's liver is failing to keep him alive, so she reaches out to Armin. He has a connect, Bosco, that has an illegal clinic that can give transplants. Mother Donna gives her the opportunity to assist 3 surgeries, and Luca will get the liver for free, but she figures out that they are operating on children who aren't fully able to understand what is happening, so she quits. They start getting more physical when Tony's husband arrives in the US. His visa recently got approved. They find a new donor for the liver, Dara who they fly over to Mexico for the surgery with Armin, but he leaves early, brokering an arms deal. The surgery is successful and Luca starts to recover. A problem arises that they won't be able to get back into the country. They try to use fake passports. Dara pretends to be Luca's mother and they make it through the customs, but they spot Tony's fabricated passport. They war it in the US, but Marco secretly wants them to return to the Philippines. Her last option is to call Garrett. He illegally smuggles her over because the FBI don't have jurisdiction in Mexico, but they are caught and arrested. The next day, they are bailed out by Roscoe, Garrett's boss. Garrett is potentially going to get terminated and she is facing up to 20 years in prison if they don't get evidence on Hayek and Armin. They are unable to make the deal with the client Noah because the feds are watching the warehouse. Tony convinces Armin to make a deal with the FBI. They get Noah, Hayek, weapons and money, and they both get to go free. They create a sting operation in a hotel room. It all goes to plan. Even Armand saves Hayek from Noah as they all get arrested. Hayek now believes that they were set up by Noah and trusts Armin again. He left the $6 million in a USB for Tony. She slowly gives payments to Nadia, Armin's wife, but fearing the criminal life, they return home to find that Marco has taken Luca. They search all day and night, but can't find them. They get a notification for tickets purchased to the Philippines. She calls Agent Garrett for help. Once they track him down, he escapes in the nick of time, advising her to not pull the same stunt again, and they will meet when Luca is asleep. sleep, Fiona and Chris come with her at night. She confronts him about kidnapping Luca, and they argue about going back to the Philippines. When Fiona and Chris try to sway him, Chris and him start pushing each other. He falls down the stairs and dies on the railing. She quickly tells Fiona to take Chris away as she cleans up the scene and asks the motel manager to call the police as she just found an accident. They pretend like nothing happened as they get the report that Marco is dead. She pretends to arrive on the scene, stunned but finally getting Luca back, and she now misses Marco. In prison, a guard in Hayek's pocket informs him that Armand was the snitch with a listening device. He puts out a hit that fails, and he later corners him in the showers alone. A moment before this, when he was getting treated for his injuries, he found the prison medicine cabinet and uses the syringe to instantly kill Hayek. He is later released after Nadia took a loan from her ex-boyfriend, Kamdar, who supplies money for half of Vegas to pay off a judge and get him freed. They start their own business called the Cleaning Ladies. They run into another problem. John Price, the motel manager, got a tape of Chris murdering Marco and blackmails them. They are forced to dispose of him, and Armand helps out. They try selling pharmaceutical drugs to turn over more money and return Kamdar's loan, as Armand is stuck working as a debt collector, and Nadia works the floors convincing customers to bet more. On their first shipment, they are stopped by Agent Garrett. They broker a deal for Kamdar and his supplier, Cortez. Garrett agrees because he was working on a case against Cortez and had a CI, Maya, until he slept with her and got pulled off the case. Now she is Cortez's girlfriend. Chris has been struggling with the death of Marco, acting out and almost turning himself in, but Fiona's ex-boyfriend and his father, yes, she lied about his death, JD, he now knows about Marco's death. Armand is able to pay off a portion of the debt with the shipment, and Nadia dumps him, thinking he snuck off with Tony, but Kamdar stops him because he wants a portion of the drug operation, 30%, and all the debts will be lifted. He will also connect them with a new supplier, Cortez. They set up a meeting with Cortez, but the FBI raid it after. Garrett storms the place and shoots Cortez to protect him, and Tony quickly gives him the gun to make it look like self-defense, covering up the crime. Kamdar, now afraid of the rat, kills Nick, Cortez's right-hand man that wasn't at the mansion at the time of the raid. He matches them with a new buyer. Detective Flores comes by the house to arrest the family for questioning. When Chris came to the station, it was pretty fishy. Garrett comes by to save the day, but he figures out that she is protecting someone. But because she saved him with Cortez, he gets Tony and the family out of the murder charge. They drop off more supplies, but are kidnapped by Kamdar. He had also kidnapped Maya prior, and believes that she is the mole, giving Armand the dilemma of killing her or Tony. He chooses the former, and Garrett finds the body washed up later with a gun in the lake. The prints match to several people, one of which is Armand. Luca has been getting more sick, and now that the FBI is on the scene, all the suppliers from the area don't want to work with them. Tony suggests a doctor friend she has been working with in the Philippines. She had a husband that was a pharmaceutical rep too. They fly over to create a supply chain. Hearing of the trouble she is in, Anna gives her the information to a corrupt pharmaceutical factory, using it as their new main supplier. As Luca was getting sick, Fiona took him to the hospital. They are fully packed, and Dr. Gonzalez barely sees to Luca's illness. Furious, she breaks into the medicine shipment and takes a new experimental drug for his liver failure. They steal hospital equipment and perform the procedure. Dr. Gonzalez allows it to occur, but arrested them for felony grand larceny. Tony is released because Garrett is there, but Fiona isn't an informant and she is taken away. Armand made up with Nadia, discovering that her and Kamdar are still married. He never files the divorce papers. They try to murder him with pills, but Tony saves him because she needs him to supply the medicine for Luca. He wakes up, realizing he fainted due to cardiac arrest. Realizing it was Nadia, but he doesn't end her yet. He takes Tony to the shipment, and the FBI move in on him. Fearing that he might kill her, they get in a shootout, where Garrett is shot and killed. Kamdar is arrested for several felonies. Tony is taken in for a witness statement. The judge gave him bail, and he gets out. Armand had paid off custom officials, getting his men to get Kamdar alone at the airport, where he allows Nadia to finish him off, inheriting all of his property and money. The FBI arrive on the scene too late, and without Kamdar alive, they are unable to get Fiona out. She is deported. Armand secretly helps her to get Fiona back. With connections to the illegal shipments, they want to smuggle her back in with the next load. This is where the series ends. For another action-filled series, watch this.